Justin Filson, $5 super chat, asks, how is the Sig Sauer lawsuit going through if the problem is the holster? Sig has no fault for a manufacturer defect of a holster company. So this is referring to the problem with Sig Sauer and their P320 pistols, which the plaintiffs claim have a design defect, manufacturing defect, that if the pistol is struck in a weird way, it could discharge unintentionally without the trigger being manipulated. Of course, we don't know if that's true. I did a big show on this, a couple of hours show. I had Danny on, Danny AHN is her last name. She was on the show because she has more expertise than I do in civil matters, and this is a civil lawsuit. Certainly, I think one of the defenses that Sig might seek to raise is the defect's not in our pistol, the defect's in the holster that these people were using. Now, they have to be careful because a lot of P320s were supplied from Sig in the box with a holster from Sig. So clearly that doesn't help Sig if that's where the defect is. If the defect is in a holster, well, you know, I presume a lot of these people, they were all using 320 pistols and likely they had very different holsters. So I think it would be a difficult argument to make that all these discharges were the result of a holster defect. But you know, that's the defense I would try to raise if I was Sig Sauer. Although, you know, how much does it help really? Because you're designing a pistol, it's you know it's going to be holstered. It has to be safe in a typical holster. So unless a holster is a really weird design, like what's the holster where you have to press with your finger, your trigger finger, the little tab, in order to release the security mechanism, so you can pull the holster out of the pull the pistol out of the holster. I'm blanking on the name of this thing. Let's see if someone put it in the comments. Now, well, if anybody, yeah, the Serpa, the Black Hawk Serpa. Oh my God, folks, if you have a Black Hawk Serpa, just throw it into the ocean. Okay, these things are not safe because you have to use your trigger finger to put pressure with your trigger finger on the side of the holster to release the retention mechanism. A lot of accidental discharges associated with the Serpa holster. It's, in my opinion, it's absolutely not safe. Throw it away. Just smash it with a hammer so no one finds it and uses it themselves. Just get rid of it. But most holsters don't have that obvious defect. Most holsters from reputable companies work pretty well. The guns don't just go off. So I think it would be a hard sell for Sig. But having said that, I don't know that the pistol, the 320, is in fact defective. I mean, guns, you know, when Glock came out, there were a lot of accidental discharges with Glocks. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the Glock. It's because a lot of officers were transitioning in those days from double action revolvers with a 10, 12 pound trigger pull. They could afford to be sloppy with the trigger finger because it took a lot of pressure to fire those revolvers. And the Glock had half the trigger weight, maybe less, 5 pounds, 5.5 pounds. So if you're used to be able to manipulate your revolver with a sloppy trigger finger and you do it on a Glock, apply 5 pounds of pressure, it goes off. And then you're like, oh my God, the gun just went off by itself. Nope. And folks, when I was doing just, you know, self-defense instruction, not legal stuff, but shooting stuff, we had a Glock that we would put a dummy cartridge in and cycle it and throw it against a wall. I mean, you couldn't get the striker to fall on that pistol. It was really remarkably safe in that respect. I have seen video, and I showed it during my show about the Sig lawsuit recently, where someone's puts a case with a primer, no powder or bullet, but just a primer, into a 320 and strikes it with a small hammer on the rear of the slide and gets it to discharge that way. So, but that's not a use of force issue, really. That's a civil liability issue. So I'll let the civil litigators talk about that.